Wings of Silk is a defense against a two-handed arm lock, sometimes called a double hammerlock, from behind. The word wings signifies the forearms or the elbows. The word silk, this is the only technique in the entire system that uses the word silk, and the explanation I was given was that back in the days, go ahead and face the camera, when people wore really nice suits and fedoras, the inner lining of their suits was with silk. And so an opponent might come up behind you and open your coat and pull it down over your, below your shoulders, preventing you from using your arms very well, while another opponent might attack you from the front or from the side. And so in this technique, you're going to pull your arms out this way, allowing your elbow to strike into the opponent's face. So that's your wing, striking, and because you could imagine that you're escaping the silk lining of your coat, we call it wings of silk. So let's take a look. So what happened there? I'm in this double hammerlock. Turn sideways so you can see. The opponent's wrapping around the outside of my arms and clasping his hands by my spine. So this makes it, let's turn back to the front. So this makes it really hard for me to deal with another opponent. And it makes it very difficult for me to deal with the current opponent, the one behind me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of hug with my left arm real tight. I don't want him to let go of this arm, but I do want him to let go with my right. So I'm going to stomp his right foot with my heel right on the top there where his shoelaces are. And I'm going to drive a right heel palm to the groin, maybe even grabbing and squeezing, something to get his attention, to get him to let go. Notice I'm kind of leaning quite a bit and getting him to lean with me. From there I'm going to lean back towards my left as my right arm escapes, and I can maybe get an obscure elbow to his eye or his temple or his jaw. And you notice the first time I did it, I had to do it a couple times to convince him, right? I had heel palm elbow, my arm wasn't free. Heel palm elbow, back and forth, lots of wiggling. You'd probably make it even more aggressive than I made it just a second ago. You have to be careful because sometimes you can slip out and really hit your practice partner. From here, I'm going to step towards 9 o'clock with my right foot, and I'm going to step practically feet together. And then I'm going to continue my spin, so I'm facing 12 again, back in my horse stance. And again, my steps were towards 9 o'clock. From here, my left arm, which all the while was hugging his left arm, is now sliding down and grabbing his wrist, trying my best to orient it palm up. That way the point of his elbow is down to the ground. And I'm going to utilize a flapping elbow as I push down on his wrist to hyperextend or sprain his arm. So I have the opponent here. Like I mentioned before, his palm has to be up in order for this to work. If you catch him with his thumb towards the ceiling or his palm towards the ground, his arm isn't really going to be in a great position for this. And I see people execute this technique and teach it, go ahead and lower your arm, as the good guy using what looks like an uppercut to break the arm or to sprain it. I don't feel nearly as strong as if I were to take this and instead of lifting this way, if I lift this way, sideways. And I put his elbow, I kind of cradle it between my forearm and my bicep. I feel so much stronger, and I can lift it much higher. If I use the bicep and he resists me, go ahead and fight. I'm not going to be very effective. Even with the flapping elbow, if he resists, go ahead and resist. Things aren't going to work out too well if he knows it's coming. Hit him in the groin, knock out a tooth with one of your elbows, yank his arm, and he probably won't know it's about to happen. So try the flapping elbow. That's my recommendation. If it doesn't work out for you, if he sees it coming, don't worry, your technique didn't fail because you've got an immediate follow-up, and you can go back to this. You can go back and forth 2 or 3 times if you need to, and at one of those points you're going to get his elbow. So, thank you. The techniques usually have you executing one strike and then moving on and assuming everything works out one right after the other. But if you have to go back a step or two and hit another strike or two to the groin or another back knuckle to the ribs, you can do that. You can always insert things. I'm going to set up an outward wrist lock. Thumbs on the back of the hand. I'm going to do a rear crossover unwind, and I want to take him down. Go ahead and lay down for me nice and easy. I want to twist his arm to a point where he falls. and I'm grabbing his hand in this way. Stick your fingers out. Yeah. So my thumb is on the back of his hand, kind of hugging his thumb pad right here with my left hand, and my right hand matches that. So thumb's on the back of the hand. You can see my fingers are tight. Don't just give me fingertips, but really hug his head. Imagine this is the head of a snake. Move your wrist around a little bit, right? And his fingers are the teeth. Well, I've got to make sure I've got full control over the head of that snake. If I'm just hanging on too loosely, he's going to get free. So I'm hanging on there. I'm getting the wrist lock. You can see my rear crossover, and then I unwind. So I'm giving you the other angle now. Now here, I don't want to, for a long time I used to perform this move incorrectly, and I would try to push his fingers to him. But you can see I'm not doing anything to prevent his left arm from punching me. So what I need to do is I need to take his fingers, and I need to point them over here, and I'm spiraling his wrist at the same time. So I'm stretching his arm out. Let's stand up and do that further away. That was very good. I'm twisting his wrist, and I'm pulling it straight out away from him, and that's going to turn him over, hugging real tight to his hand. But it doesn't work out so well. I twist, and he starts staggering backward. Maybe I'm fighting Gumby or someone like that. Now, I don't want to give him the chance to hit me, because as you can see, if I stand here long enough, he might retaliate with his right hand or foot. So I'm going to execute a left knee to the groin, a right outward hooking parry, a left heel palm to the nose or the chin, a left front kick to the groin, and then a cover up. So, there you have it for Wings and Silk.